Hey guys, Banana Luck here. Welcome back to another Watch Your Realms video. We're back with a video today to talk about the upcoming limited selector banner that's coming next week. Next Thursday to be very precise. And this is the second time this has ever happened. The first one was during the anniversary, so it looks like we might get one of this every 6 months from now on. So it's gonna last for 5 days, quite typical of our every limited banner that we've gotten so far. But what I want to talk about here today is a tier list that I've created to see which is the best limited unit for you to pick out of this list. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna jump right into it. The reason why I did up this video is that I saw a lot of questions in my last videos for Catgrim, Rivenhall, and Adrian, where people already asking, what, we have this limited banner, how should I summon? Bear in mind that no matter what, you should be swapping, doing a pity swap for Adrian and Erlis, just because, that's the best way to utilize your summons. But that's for another video. Today, we'll just talk mainly about this limited units and what's the best option for you there. Okay, so it's very straightforward. We just need to ask ourselves a few questions, and then using this guide that I've created, can sort of decide what's the best unit that you have. So bear in mind that Lady Mina is not going to be in this list because she's exclusive to the Dracula collab event, so she's no longer available. Alright, so this is my tier list. I'm going to talk about the awakenings, specifically the power spikes, and then also rank these units at the end. But first of all, before you even look at the units, you need to ask yourself, what are your goals in the upcoming months? Do you want to focus on Abyss? If you do, then it's very obvious that, you need Wukong, you need Kigiri, you need A1 Tiao-Chan. Those are the things that you have to go after. But if, let's say, you're talking about Matrix specifically, then maybe Gwendolyn might be the answer for you. These are just examples. It's not concrete as to your situations in your accounts, but that's just something for you to think about before you decide on what to summon. I think that's very important because everyone has different goals. Some people want to focus on GVG, some want to focus on PvE content like Abyss and Codex, etc. So that's the first thing. Second thing, how many unpolished soulstones do you have? Make sure you include the one that you're going to get from Christmas, because that will tell you whether you're able to achieve certain power spikes to get to the goals that you need, you want to meet. And then next thing is, how many unpolished soulstones do you have in any other units that are existing? How many reset books do you have? Because that will also tell you what you can potentially do. What do I mean by that? For example, if you go onto my account, you're gonna see that I have one unpolished soulstone on Tiao-Chan. I have three unpolished soulstones on Wukong, and I also have 3 unpolished soulstones on Honora right here. But the difference with that is that my Honora, I already have 2 copies of her sitting around. So I just need 1 more copy of Honora to actually reset her and get all the stones back, which already tells you what I am going to be choosing this upcoming week. So yeah, that's why I'm saying to look at your existing soulstones, where they've been put in, and whether you have reset books, because getting 3 soulstones is huge. It's going to unlock a lot of possibilities that you can have in terms of what you want to do next. And then last but not least, always remember that the base copy of a unit is way more important than awakenings that you have on existing units. What do I mean here? If you already have Wukong at A5 for example, and maybe you have A4 Kigiri, so you might be thinking off the top of your head, let me go and summon for Kigiri and I'm going to get her A5. But hold up, what if you don't actually have Tiao-Chan still? Then the base copy of Tiao-Chan is going to be much more important than getting the A5 Kigiri. So that's just a very extreme example, but I hope it illustrates the importance of, running through these questions in your mind before you actually decide on what to do next. Okay, now that we have these 4 questions out of the way, we are going to talk about power spikes in Awakenings. So I've labeled them green for power spikes and yellow for, okay awakenings, and then white for awakenings that you could really do without. It wouldn't change the hero much in terms of what they are supposed to do. So for Kigiri, it's very, very clear cut. A3 and A5 are the big power spikes. In fact, I'll say that A3 is where Kigiri starts doing crazy damage, and A5 just guarantees that crazy damage through and through. So if we're to actually take a look at Awakenings here for Kigiri, A3, what it basically does is that each direct damage deals 1 time equal to 35% of the direct damage that it does from the sweeping strike. And then after that, for Ember Strike, it actually deals the damage 2 times instead of, just once. And I think that is the big multiplier for Kigiri as to why he can do so much damage at A3. But bear in mind that with A3, it's not 100% proc chance. My understanding is that it's a 25% proc chance or something like that. And A5 is where it guarantees it. So yeah, that's basically how it works. I mean, I'm not a very big Kigiri user. I do have to caveat that. So if I don't make sense, just know that A3 is where the big damage comes in, but it's not guaranteed. And then A5 just guarantees that he always gets that big damage coming through. So yeah, that's Kigiri for you. And then we have Wukong next. I marked A3 as a mid awakening, not because that it's bad, but I feel that the big damage output that comes out from Wukong is actually at A5. This is not telling you that you shouldn't A3 Wukong. It's telling you that if you want to awaken Wukong, you should do A5 or nothing unless you're not putting any stones in him. So let's go back to the game instead and take a look at Wukong's awakenings. So what A3 does is that there's a 25% chance to inflict stun, and when you do hit someone that's immune to stun, you do 150% damage 1 time to that unit instead. And what this basically does is that against boss units, you start to do a bit more damage than usual. And the stuns, if I'm not wrong, on base copy of Wukong, only he can do it. But then with A3, his clones start doing it as well, which is huge because he has 3 clones out at any point in time. But A5 is where it gets really crazy because it basically doubles his ultimate damage. And then the Undaunted Might, which is his talent, it increases the cap from 5 to 25. So you get 5% increased damage all the way up to 25%. And then after using all this, your stun strike chance increases by 35% for 12 seconds. So it is a huge awakening. A3 and A5 Wukong is very far apart. A3 and A5 Kigiri can still be quite close by because it's down to proc chance. But for Wukong, A3 is just not gonna, be near A5 at any point in time. Alright, the next unit is gonna be Diao Chan. And I think everyone should be very familiar with Diao Chan by now. Diao Chan at A1 is Dolores range. Sorry, A0 is at Dolores range. A1 is gonna be Aelin range, which is similar to Riven Hall, which is why I've been saying that Riven Hall at A0 is basically a portable moving Diao Chan. And A1 Diao Chan is what you need to make her work in Arena. And I'll be honest that right now in Arena, almost everyone has A3 Diao Chan already, and that's because you have 3 units at any point in time doing damage in Arena. And if we just go back to her awakenings, you will see that A1 Diao Chan increases the range, you can see, from Dolores to Aelin, and that is very important for Arena. because otherwise you can only benefit 1 or 2 units instead of 3 or 4. And then A3 basically gives you 1 more penetration target. So Song of Sorrow, where was it? There we go. So it gives penetration increase of 20% to 2 units. With A3, it's going to do it to 3 units. And that's very, very, very important because in Arena, you almost always have 3 units on the battlefield doing damage at any point in time. So this could be the difference between you winning or losing an Arena fight. Just for context, for example, if you put Ingrid, Kigiri, Wukong on a Watcher team, if let's say you have A1, A1, A0, A2 Diao Chan, what basically happens is that your penetration is going to go to Ingrid and Wukong or Kigiri instead, and one of your melee units that's actually doing a bulk of the damage is not going to have the penetration. That's because with Ingrid's Tear of Twilight, she's going to get way higher attack than those 2 other units. So very, very big awakening as well. The rest of the awakenings not really that important. A5 is definitely not important, so you can just forget about that. Now, the next unit is going to be Moradin. Moradin is slightly new, and other than the awakenings that I want to talk about, I do want to touch on the Bond skill first. So, for Valara, the Bond skill is almost the same in the reduction in cost, but what I want to focus on here is that without the Moradin, your Valara will be 17 cost in Arena, which basically makes her unusable. So if you're a newer player that wasn't around during the anniversary this year, Moradin might be quite an important unit if you're looking to unlock your Valara's potential. And yeah, there's also this slight boost on Moradin's side where he gets the max stats increase once you deploy him. But in my opinion, the bond the other way around is much more important, where you need Valara to actually have the cost reduction, because otherwise she'll be too expensive to be placed in Arena. So that's one thing. Now, the second thing is actually more on, the Moradin Awakenings. So Moradin has pretty strong awakenings. I'll say that A1 is the bigger awakening. With this 20% increased chance to actually do Soul Strike, what basically happens is that you almost are guaranteed to get his ultimate back if he's consistently hitting a unit after each ultimate. And that's very important in terms of damage uptime. A3 is very nice as well. You get some stats boost. But in my opinion, A1 is where the money's at. Both are great awakenings, but if you ask me to rank it, I'll say that A1 is much more important. And I actually personally went quite hard on Moradin's banner, but unfortunately we didn't get the A1. But yeah, this particular limited selector banner, I'm just gonna reset Anora to get those soul stones back. Alright, now we'll move on to Anora. Speak of the devil. She has pretty nice awakenings. If we go over to Anora here, so Anora was used in GVG for the most parts. She is also used in high levels of Tower of Deception if you don't have strong AoE options. She can also be used in Malrix, which I did for a while until I got Verlis and Azeroth. So A1 is basically some control. Immobilized state, which is like a stun-ish to 8 enemies in range. It is very nice in GVG and in Malrix. A3 is a huge awakening because it basically gives the dragon 20% defense ignore, and then A5 is just 20% damage increase for both herself and the dragon. It's really, really straightforward. If you look at A0 Anora, it basically does no damage at all, but A3 and A5 is where her damage starts going crazy, which is why we've marked her awakenings as such. And then Gwendolyn, this is an interesting one. She got recently reworked, and Gwendolyn basically has, where was it? Yeah, when the shield ends, she inflicts vulnerability for physical damage of 10% and freeze for 0.5 seconds up to 3 enemies around the target. And with A1, this basically goes up to 5 targets and the vulnerability goes up to 20% instead. A3 and A5 are more for herself. At this very moment, I still don't see the use for it. But if you were to ask me, I'll say that A1 is where the big awakening is if you're considering her for Matrix. And then down the list, we have Fauxia. She is a less known unit, not very used, but she did get buffed recently with the Esotericist faction added to her and also some reworks on her skill kit. But all in all, A3 is still what you need to actually boost her damage. And unfortunately, this is not an awakening that people would necessarily want to go for because she's not really used in much places. And then very last but not least, we have Last, which is a unit that has been heavily power crept by what's available right now in terms of DPS, or because of the low base attack that she has. She still has good awakenings. A3 is nice, but A5 is where she starts going crazy because instead of doing 4 lashes, she does 6 lashes in a row during her ultimate, which is just 50% more damage up front. So other than that though, I would say that the rest of the units like Captain Rives, Dahlia, you don't really need any awakenings on them. A0 is more than good enough. So with those power spikes covered, now we want to, rank these units one by one and talk about why they're in this tier list. So same like my last video where we ranked the Ancient Lords, we're going to rank them in this color sequence. Green means good, yellow means okay, red means why are you doing this to yourself? So first of all, Kigiri. We've covered this extensively. He's the best single target unit in Abyss, Watcher Com in Arena, and used in tower stages where Dispel is needed, and all around in many other places where single target boss content is required. Kigiri is just absolutely top tier. In some places where the boss doesn't do damage, maybe you need Durza to unlock his full potential, but he's still a very good unit. Wukong, I'll say, is a much more versatile unit, much easier to use him. At A5, he's just he's on par with Kigiri in terms of being the best single target unit, but in Abyss, because his clones constantly die, he's not as good as Kigiri. But anywhere else, Wukong is gonna be amazing, and with his stats and his talents and his stance, he can also be used as a pseudo tank in S single target arena for the chaotic comp. And then we have Diao Chan, best inspiration in the unit right now in terms of how easy it is to deploy her because her cost is very low, and you only need her A1 to be for her to be usable in most of the content. You need A3 to be competitive in arena, but if you don't care about arena, A1 is more than enough for her to be used everywhere. And then Moradin, very solid unit in Abyss, especially with his exclusive artifact with the vulnerability that he brings. He can also solo kill the Inquisitors and Maoric Trials. Even at level 4 raids, he can deal with them quite comfortably with a Nerissa Abyssal Favor on him to ensure that he's healed even though he's out of the normal healer range. And bear in mind as well, if you have Valara but no Moradin, you need Moradin for her to actually be usable in arena because of the reduced cost. And then now we move on down the list to units that are not so great, but maybe still usable in some areas. So Honora is a very solid AoE mage option. I used her for most of the last year or so, but now she's currently outshined by Verlis and Azeroth because at A0 they are doing almost the same damage. For GVG, she's still an okay option. I'll say that the current map is not very suitable for her. She is also used in some higher stages of Tower of Deception, but for the most part, Valara can completely replace her, and Verlis and Azeroth as well. And then Gwendolyn is the next one. People are speculating that she might be useful with all the Northerner units coming back. So if you've missed her, because we only ever had one proper banner dedicated to her back in 2023 of December, you might want to go after her and especially pick up the A1 if you're thinking that she's going to be useful in Matrix, for example. And then Falchia, we had multiple reruns of this unit by now. She still needs A3 to be useful, but very niche. I'll say it's more of a collector item. She is not bad in any sense, but she just needs Awakenings to be useful, and even then, there are much better options out there for her. And then now we are moving on to the zone of raid, which is why are you summoning for this unit? Because yeah, there's just no reason to do so, especially with all we have on top of this. Last, we've mentioned this just now as well. She used to be the best single target unit in the game for some time. She is also the bond partner for Arrogance, which gives him quite a big boost, and we've seen on the Forerunner patch notes that he is getting a buff. But due to her absolutely low base damage, she's just completely obsolete right now, and there's just no reason to go for her unless you're looking to collect her or unlock the Arrogance bond, provided you have all the units in the green zone covered. And then we have Captain Riff, very niche defender, crazy amount of control, but most of the places that I've seen him actually being used is actually in GVG. There's also the gold bonus bond with Razak, but honestly, we don't need that now anymore. And then last but not least, Dahlia, very, very niche mage. It shouldn't be one tile range. It should be one line range. Used in some areas like Boreas Codex with her blossoms providing extra damage and GVG, but she has never been something that's permanently meta in any of those areas. So unfortunately, I've put her in the raid list because yeah, I just don't see any areas that you use her at the moment. So that's the tier list. I know it's not the easiest to look, but very simply, just look at the power spikes. If you can achieve some of these green power spikes and these heroes are in the green zone, then obviously you go after them. And you have every hero in the green zone covered for with their power spikes covered, then you can start to move down to the yellow zone and then down to the red zone if you're looking to collect certain units. So yeah, it's a very long video, but I know that some of you might still have questions down the road. So please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. And we will also be doing a pool party. So the sign-ups are going to open now. I know it's very early, but if you're looking to summon next week, even if it's not for the limited banner, which I'm talking about right now, if you're looking to summon on the Velara and Ravenhall banner, sign-ups are going to open for that as well. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions in the comment section down below. And as always, feel free to leave a like or subscribe to the channel if you have enjoyed the content. And I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.